Regan Harper, we've been playing Sony's new AAA game from Guerrilla Games, Horizon Zero Dawn.
We have indeed. Both of us
Yeah,
have been
we've
playing
been
this game. Yeah,
we've been absolutely just you know fanging this game for the past 2 to 3 days. I think both of us are about 20 hours in now.
I
It's
would
fair to
say so. Yeah, which is
Yep.
which is nice. So I mean, I guess the biggest thing for us is kind of getting through it so we can actually discuss it and know what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
It's isn't it great though, Abe, when you actually get to play the game and really enjoy it, and also have the excuse there to say like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to be spending my weekend playing this game.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great, man. Yeah, because go into work. Oh, what did you do in the weekend? Oh, I played a game for 15 hours straight. Oh, oh no, but it's for work. It's all right. It's for work.
Yeah, no, it's
Cool.
I'm cool. Like I have a life. Yeah.
So Horizon Zero Dawn. What are your initial impressions on this one, man?
I mean, the first thing that strikes you, as I've mentioned in other parts of our content, is how it looks. It's a beautiful, beautiful game.
It
it's a
is
technical
almost
marvel.
unbelievably good looking. This game.
I think it plays in their favor that they specific that it's a Sony PlayStation exclusive, because they're like, okay, cool, we've got one brick of hardware and that's all we need to worry about.
Yeah,
and I think that's really where we see these kind of games come along, and oh my god, it's jaw dropping. You're playing the game and there'll be moments where you genuinely just need to stop and you get your thumb on the right analog stick and just slowly pan.
Do a lovely slow pan, nice cinematic.
Exactly.
Cinematic moment.
It's beautiful. Obviously, neither of us have finished the story yet, and we don't really want to spoil anything about it.
No, this will be very general in terms of the actual story itself, because there are multiple awesome moments in the story that we don't want to spoil for everyone.
Yep.
So this will just be an overview of the game, the gameplay elements, what we like about it, or what we don't like about it, kind of thing. So let's get into that, Regan. What's the actual gameplay? Has that captivated you?
It has, definitely. So I think its real strength so far has been the combat.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, so
100%.
You obviously open world, and you are facing off against these various mechanized robots and that sort of thing. But it's not just you've got bow and arrow, that kind of thing. So you're not you don't have a Gatling gun or anything crazy, and it's. The system that they've really thought of is it's really fast, really frantic, but at the same time you've got
it's precision based.
So you're dancing around, you're dodging, and then at the same time you need to be making sure that your shots are really precise, because you need to focus at certain points on the robots that you're fighting, and disable certain elements and that kind of thing. So there's a lot to know about with the certain enemies that you come across and understand about them to be able to really take them down effectively, because I think you do get the sense in this game that you are at odds against these machines. You certainly don't feel strong.
No, that's something I was going to bring up. Almost the entire game so far I've felt underpowered, and that's both a good and a bad thing. Good because it's very challenging and it keeps me on my toes, sort of thing. Bad in the way that I don't really feel like I'm progressing in terms of my weapons, or it doesn't feel that rewarding. I haven't been upgrading, get a new bow that does this much more damage. It doesn't really work like that. I've had the same bow, or almost the same bow, for most of the game so far. Yeah. And it's more just you getting better as a player, I think.
Which is, I mean, there's another point that I'll bring up shortly as well. But I think part of it as well is it's kind of drawn on Dark Souls, perhaps, in that it is a skills based thing. You obviously you get a little bit of upgradability in your character, and so you're not just kind of like one hit killed all the time and things like that. But there's. Basically it kind of makes you feel skilled as a player, but certainly you're underpowered.
You definitely feel your character, their size, as opposed to these massive great machines that are roaming around the land.
And that's going to kind of draws into the point I was going to make, is that they have, as far as gameplay mechanics and things, they've kind of chosen the best of a whole bunch of industry kind of leading games. So there's lots to compare to Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, The Witcher, Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, absolutely. And then it has its own kind of feel to it as well. So there is a lot to be impressed about at this early juncture, I would say, Abe.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I mean, it's pretty cool in that it seems to be a trend that's going away nowadays where they lock you off from sections of the map. In this game, once you leave the sort of tutorial hub area, which in and of itself is pretty massive, you can just go anywhere. Now, if you choose to do that, you're probably going to get really destroyed because there's massive, powerful, huge dinosaur bot things roaming around just in certain areas of this map where if you go there before you're supposed to or while you're underpowered, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. So I kind of like that because it's not penalizing you for exploring. It's just you learn that you shouldn't go too far off the beaten track if you want to survive in this world.
Yep, absolutely. It's certainly, and I guess that plays into the world building aspect as well of the game as well, because that's another really impressive part of it. Is that you're part of a tribe that is really underdeveloped technologically, and so you are just constantly at odds with these huge machines that are super powerful. So it kind of plays into that, into the tribal world side of things as well.
I think so too.
What have you? We won't go into spoilers, but how have you found? Because obviously there's the compelling question of why are these robots here?
The big thing is what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to the world? That's kind of what the through line is of this game.
Exactly. How have you found so we won't go into particular plot beats or anything like that, but have you found it satisfying thus far?
I have found it satisfying. Yeah, the main story quests have been incredibly satisfying. Not that just I'm learning new things about the world, but that I'm learning about the tribes, the different factions that populate this world. I'm learning about their history, their religions, their politics, everything like that. Those are the sort of side elements of this game, which in most games would be the main thing, but those are sort of pushed to one side, wherein the mystery itself, as I mentioned before, what the hell happened, that's the main thing, and you can pursue that, or you can pursue something that's almost as rich and in-depth, which is these tribes and their conflicts and their politics.
I was quite impressed by because in the lead up to this game, you saw Aloy's tribe being very, very much tribal. When you think tribal, that's kind of what they are. They war paint and really basic clothing, living in huts, and almost sort of like a nomadic style kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed getting into further areas in the game and seeing the diversity of the tribes as well. So that's pretty much all I want to say, because again, I don't want to spoil too much, but lots of diversity and really interesting kind of cultural dynamics between the tribes as well. So
yeah, 100%, man.
World
I think there's one thing I just want to touch on that really did somewhat hamper my experience until I was able to sort it, and that is the screen furniture on this game. So by that I mean the UI and the HUD. It's ridiculous. It is the most screen furniture I've ever seen in any video game, and it is so unnecessary. Guerrilla Games, I think this just shows through that this is their first open world game, and that they're confident, but they're still a little bit, they're confident in their story, but they're not entirely sure how to go about presenting it in a manner that isn't over the top in terms of, hey, go do this, go do this, go do this. It's more like, no, we know, like we know what to do. We've played games before. Just lay back on that. So once I turned the HUD and all that sort of stuff to dynamic in the options menu, and it removed 90% of that screen furniture, I think I just have my health bar and I have my mission objective thing. I love it. It's you can see so much more of the world. It's not obscured by bloody text or quest markers or inventory or anything like that. It's really, really good. I think Guerrilla Games, for their next game or their sequel to this, I think they've received that feedback loud and clear from people, and I think at least they also have given people the opportunity
to turn that stuff off. They probably,
absolutely.
They were probably given that stuff in testing and things, and they were like, okay, cool. These are the things that we think people will. I think what it was is that they knew that at the beginning of the game there's a lot going on, and perhaps all of that stuff they decided to keep there so that people felt like they could be across it all at one time. Yep. But they have given you the option of like customizing it and turning it off and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really cool. What I like in that kind of sense is that there's no mini map. It's kind of it's like Elder Scrolls in that you set waypoints and things. What it does, I think, better than Elder Scrolls though, it just has its compass at the top. And you can see if you're pointing in the right direction or not, sets a marker. But I think what it does better than Elder Scrolls is it places waypoints along the route to that place.
Right.
So, in Elder Scrolls, you'll set a waypoint on your objective marker, and that's all it will show you. And you'll start walking off, and you might hit a mountain on the way there, and you've got to go, okay, where do I go to get around this mountain? This game is quite clever in that you set your where your mission marker is, and then on your compass at the top, it actually lays waypoints periodically along the route to get there in the way that makes the most sense, which I thought was quite clever.
It was at the same time when I encountered that, because it sort of gives you your total distance every time a new waypoint comes up. It'll still have the total distance, not the distance to that next waypoint. That was a little bit confusing for me for a while.
And it does kind of chop and... it's not perfect, but I think it's a clever idea. Just, not perfect. Like, it does chop and change. So sometimes when you've perhaps got multiple places you should be going to, it's a little bit weird. It does show the kind of the full distance, but still a clever idea and still cool. So I'm really excited for this game and understanding the depths of its mystery.
I mean, the coolest thing which we talked about on our most recent podcast is seeing these pieces of old world technology, our sort of technology nowadays, in this world, and these people's interpretation of what this was used for. And it's the sort of hilarity or just interesting ways they've gone about interpreting these items, like a set of car keys or a cup or something like that. And needless to say, they get it wrong 90% of the time.
They get it wrong, but in really kind of endearing kind of ways. And that's another kudos to Guerrilla Games and the way that they've really thought about these people and the cultural position they're in. It's really clever.
Yeah, very much so. This is a game where you can just roam around the world and you will find something awe-inspiring within 10 minutes. You'll just see something and being like, whoa, what the hell is that? And go and investigate that for an hour and see what's going on over there, kind of thing. It's one of those games that you just completely immerse yourself in and get lost in. So I think we're both having an absolute blast, and we'll have a review out for this very, very shortly. So look out for that one.
Be sure to check out the podcast. We're doing basically Horizon Zero Dawn week, aren't we? So obviously our barbecue chat here with a bit of footage playing, and then we've got a written review coming up. So be sure to check it all out.
So Horizon Zero Dawn. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on Guerrilla Games from now on, I think.
There you go.